Welcome back to the Energy Innovation Days 2021. Now, I just learned that our next speaker actually canceled the World Hydrogen Leaders Conference in Amsterdam just to be with us today. And we're very grateful that he did that. This is a very important topic. Obviously, you know what this is about. This is about hydrogen. And our next speaker was a member of the European Parliament. He was actually Member of the Year in 2007, which I didn't know they elected. He holds both the German and the Greek nationality and was appointed in 2015 Ambassador at Large for Greece. Today, he's going to speak about HydroGenewables, overcoming limitations of electrification. And here is the CEO of Hydrogen Europe, Jorgo Chatzimarkakis. Welcome on stage.
Many thanks for the invitation, and of course, if one of our very important members like E.ON is inviting, it's absolutely clear that then we sometimes also leave other important congresses like the World Hydrogen Leaders aside. It's important for me to be here and also to talk about HydroGenewables, a new word, and about how to overcome the limitations of electrification. Ladies and gentlemen, Hydrogen Europe is the association on hydrogen technologies in Europe. We have now today 310 members, and we are a family, if you wish, on a European scale that wants to propel the hydrogen technology in order to make Europe a global hub of this disruptive technology that will help to decarbonize the globe. But if we understand how this works, let me show you this nice picture that we have made, and I want to discuss how great economic paradigm shifts in history emerge. It's crystal clear that we are humans, we need a pressure, and there is this pressure. There is this pressure of absolute climate issues. People see that, people live that. We have seen droughts, we have seen floods, we have seen wood fires over this summer. As a German and a Greek, I have seen both in my own country, so to say. And this transition that you see on this picture here, from a fossil-based economy to an economy that uses electricity based on renewable, but not only. This is something I would like to talk to you about, and about the role of hydrogen. We all know that today, maximum 20% of our economy and of our energy system is based on electrons. So 80% is molecules. And how to shift this to 100% electric, like some people believe, is very difficult to understand. That's why there is something that can help electrification to be smoother, and this is hydrogen. But let's look into history. We are at the moment living the third industrial revolution. So if we look back to the 19th century, where steam power based on abundant coal was the leitmotif, there was the telegraph to communicate with each other, and there were locomotives, so that was the infrastructure. That was the first industrial revolution, and then later on in the 20th century, we saw the second industrial revolution, where centralized power on cheap oil was the narrative that was dominant. We had ICE cars and telephone, and still have, and still this second industrial revolution dominates very much our life. But we have entered into the third industrial revolution. Solar and wind are basically being more and more important. We see also that the prices for solar and wind go down. It's the internet that dominates the way how we communicate, and digital mobility that will very, very soon be important. And the HydroGenewables are basically the new commodity that will be very, very important in the next years to come. Now, let's talk about HydroGenewables, and let's talk about the cost and the efficiency of hydrogen, because this is very important, that we understand that in countries like Germany, people talk about Yeah, hydrogen is just for a few sectors. Hydrogen is the champagne of the energy transition. Of course, it's now the champagne. But renewable energy was the champagne some 15 years ago, and now the prices have dropped down. And here you see on this global visualization that there are places on the globe where hydrogen can be produced already at a cost of €1 per kilogram. This is Chile. In Chile, you have, in the Acatama desert, you have big winds, big and strong winds. You have a lot of solar, and it's 2,000 meters high, so it's cold. It's an ideal environment for HydroGenewables. You could produce hydrogen right over there. You have then Saudi Arabia, where the price is €2 per kilogram. You have a lot of solar there, not that much wind, but I was in a bilateral talk with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the European Commission some weeks ago, and I was definitely fascinated to see how fast Saudi Arabia and the other countries in the Gulf region do adapt to this new possibility to produce from renewables, hydrogen, and all the derivatives. So Saudi Arabia has definitely started to go into the direction of stopping fossil and going to a carbon cyclical economy. So an economy that uses hydrogen in combination with biogenic or atmospheric CO2 to produce e-kerosene, to produce synthetic diesel, synthetic fuels, also methanol and ammonia. And then you see Europe here. In Europe, the prices are between €3 and €4 per kilogram, so they are much higher. And this shows that all our thinking so far is based on these high prices in Europe. But this is not what hydrogen is about. Hydrogen will become a global commodity with a global infrastructure to transport this hydrogen from Chile via derivatives like, I said already, ammonia, or from Northern Africa, from the Gulf region, with pipelines to Europe. So this is important to understand why hydrogen can help. Now, let me show you this one calculation. And basically, you need only to look at the figures on the top and on the bottom. This shows how one solar PV panel of 1 kilowatt can produce energy. So in the case of PV in Europe, you would have something like 1,051 kilowatt hours. In Northern Africa, you would have more than double of it. And now, if you deduct everything, so all the transitions from electricity into hydrogen, transporting via the pipeline, you end up with the same, nearly absolutely the same efficiency from producing solar PV electricity in Berlin for your car and producing solar PV electricity, transforming into hydrogen, bring it to Europe and use it in your fuel cell car. So nearly the same. And this shows that the dispatchability of the molecule makes the difference. And that's new. We cannot talk about energy efficiency if we disconnect this idea from the global context and from the best places on Earth where we can produce hydrogen. Because hydrogen is dispatchable, you can transport it other than electricity. You can, of course, also transport electricity, but not over that big distances. Now, let me enter into another dimension, because we don't only have the issue of the electricity possibility to be transported, but also we need minerals. We have a high mineral demand when we go to the all-electric scenario. And these minerals are limited. This here is not my slide, it's a slide by the IEA that, by the way, came up yesterday with the new hydrogen outlook, a very positive one, a real, for us, it's a confirmation of all the ideas that have been developed over the last year. So the IEA here in this scenario describes how much of minerals we need today for electrification, then in the sustainable development scenario, which is 4 times more. But if we go for zero CO2 zero in 2050, we need 6 times more of the efforts than we have today. And you can clearly see that especially the electricity networks, but also the EVs, so the battery electric vehicles, will need for the storage a lot of different minerals. And you can see here that lithium and graphite are the most important ones, also cobalt and nickel, but lithium and graphite are very, very much, and cobalt are very much in a demand. And there you can see at the right-hand side, left side, right column up, you can see the hydrogen demand. It's very, very low. Why? Because hydrogen is an element that helps circular economy to arrive with all the derivatives of hydrogen, like methanol, like ammonia, and the synthetic fuels. And this is what it is about, and this is what we need to understand. Now, if we see this here, we would see that if we take the 40 gigawatt scenario that Hydrogen Europe has promoted, and we are very happy that it's now enshrined in the strategy of the European Union for hydrogen. 40 gigawatt until 2030, that would be 23 million fuel cell electric cars. And here you see how much of rare earths and how much of minerals we need for that. All in all, if you compare the fuel cell dimension with the battery dimension, the hydrogen scenario needs 20 times less raw materials than the pure electrification scenario. These are all questions that we need to answer when we endeavor to roll out more battery cars or more fuel cell trucks and cars. And believe me, I'm a proud driver of a fuel cell car on an everyday basis. I have a fueling station, of course, quite close to also to my home, and it works. It's a mature technology. I'm very happy that BMW, as the first European OEM, has announced now to go for a serial production of a passenger car for fuel cells. I'm driving at the moment still a Hyundai Nexo. It's an excellent car, designed in Germany, by the way, and there is another on the market, that's the Toyota Mirai. Both cars are brilliant and are mature. There is an ideological debate in Germany, especially in Germany, but not only, that says hydrogen only for hard-to-abate sector. No, I don't agree. I think if hydrogen becomes a commodity, if hydrogen should be there, so to say, in bulk, in volume, you cannot spare out single sectors. There's a nice word in German, it's called Ausschließeritis, the exclusivitis. I see already politicians saying, well, hydrogen's fine, but not for passenger cars, not for the building sector, not for the heating sector. Who are they to say this? Once hydrogen will be in the systems, and we are preparing now backbones for the transmission system operators, we are also preparing the distribution system operators, and we are talking to all of them. That's the work and that's the job of Hydrogen Europe, and you will see hydrogen quite soon all over. Ladies and gentlemen, shift happens, and we live that on an everyday basis, and I'm very happy that E.ON is part of this big shift. Hydrogen Europe is here to support our members' efforts to go into that direction and to combine sustainability, to combine climate work and action with a circular economy, and hydrogen has the best ability to do that. It's a hero net zero, that's how we call it, because it's a hero because it can work on a decathlon. It's not only strong in a sprint like battery car or some electric applications, it's strong all over the place in 10 athlete challenges. It's a decathlon. Hydrogen as a hero net zero, here to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jorgo, for these inspiring and pushing words. Yes, please join me over here for a Q&A, and we'll see some questions from the audience. But the first one I have, because you touched upon this, are we doing enough to convince consumers out there that hydrogen is the right way to go?
Not yet. I think we first needed to bring it into the imagination of policymakers. Because if policymakers who grasp what their citizens, what their voters want, if they don't understand, we shouldn't start it. That's what we did. the last years, and I think we see hydrogen strategies now all over the place in all EU member states and also in the EU. But now is the time to really bring this message also to citizens. I personally, I have put my car also into passenger contacts with citizens. Most of the citizens say, I want this. I don't want battery electric, I want this. It's a clear reaction, and also the last surveys that we did show that consumers have this preference, and it's quite important. But don't get me wrong, hydrogen is not only about cars. You will heat your home with hydrogen, we will decarbonize the industry with hydrogen, and once people understand that, the acceptance will be much higher.
Thank you. A question about Europe specifically, but is hydrogen, can it be produced competitively in Europe?
It depends where you do it, of course. You have also to overcome the distances. But it's around 10 cents per ton that you need to put there if you put it into a pipeline. The point is, there are super places in Europe where you can produce hydrogen. I'll give one example, Spain. Spain is a quite big country. Not that populated as other countries are, like Germany or the Netherlands. And here you have some desert. Spain could feed with hydrogen the rest of Europe if we would do that. And basically, Spain also entered into this, and we are preparing not only a Spanish strategy, but also the pipelines. So far, France was a little bit hesitant also to repurpose and retrofit pipelines, but this changed over the summer. So yes, we could, but we shouldn't, because there will be much cheaper hydrogen coming from other places in the world, and I tried to show this in my presentation, coming from other places in the world, and as a new global commodity, hopefully with the spot market denominated in euro, it will be imported from all over the world.
Touching upon the retrofitting that you just mentioned, is there a way to turn current gas infrastructure into hydrogen infrastructure?
Yes. If we take the most recent example that politically is sensitive, Nord Stream 2, right? This pipeline as such is quite fit for hydrogen already, so the pipeline. What is not working is the compressors. So basically, very old pipelines are fit for hydrogen because of the town gas. Town gas before methane and before natural gas, we had town gas, was 60% of hydrogen. So the old pipelines would work, not the compressors. The methane pipelines that came in the 70s, 80s, they need retrofitting. You can do it with coating plus the compressors. The very new pipelines are hydrogen ready and hydrogen fit. Basically, you can say any retrofitting costs 25% of a new pipeline. So it's quite reasonable to go into that direction. We will see more and more pipelines being retrofitted. The Dutch government has started that. I will have the honor to see this week important Dutch representatives, including the king, who wants to support this hydrogen strategy of his country.
Wow, a lot of people behind this. Maybe the last question, what innovation, if you look at all the parts that need to come together in hydrogen in the industry, needs to be scaled? Maybe it needs to be scaled first.
Well, any scale-up of a factor of 10 needs a lot of innovation. So this is very, very simple. But also, I was talking about different sectors. Many people know about mobility, about the trucks and about the cars, train. But there is more. There is industry, there is heating. And in order to connect the different sectors, we need interfaces. It's a very complex system. And these interfaces, where to put them, how to control them digitally, this needs innovation, and this is where we need the next years to be a little bit faster than our competitors in the US and in the Asian geographies.
Thank you so much, Jorgo. This was a very passionate plea for hydrogen. Thanks so much for all the insights, a lot of things I didn't know. Thanks for being here, taking the time and not being in Amsterdam today. And thank you all. We will be back at 11:15 right here with the next session.